Hey there, Supalama here. I'm going to start a new build series. This is going to be for the Yale Superior. This is going to be well, it starts with a 9-pin, but I'm going to probably drill a couple more holes. I'm thinking interactive elements. I'm going to rebuild the sliders because the current ones that I have left are destroyed or bent out of shape in any way. I've also found that the Primus finger pin springs fit inside here, so they're going to be sprung sliders as well now. I might double them up tape depending on how tough it is. It is only a round tube and a peg sticking out, so we'll figure that out when we get there. But I'll do some other stuff. Now these pins, they are a little bit bigger than American pins. Let's see if I can get an American pin out here. So I'll have to deal with that, as well as the slider holes are going to be in the way, so I can't put wafer pins in there. It's just asking for trouble, is all it is. What is that? That looks like a spool there. So there's an American spool sitting in there. It's a little floppy, so it's a bit of an odd size for these guys. I've got enough pins so I can make that work. I'm also going to ditch this sidebar for a double sidebar, and what I mean by that is I'm going to take this wiper insert here, which is approximately a little over half the thickness for this bar, and I'm going to thin it out probably to about 25 thousandths and put 2 sidebars in there under 1 spring each on each side, only because I don't really feel like drilling extra holes, but in theory that should lock it out pretty good under false gates, but we'll get there when we get there. So stay tuned and enjoy the video.
Better off as strangers. Believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, neath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my bite. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf,
Okay, so I'll be honest, I kind of got a little carried away making this lock, and ended up finishing the sidebar without recording it. So it's just the sidebar that's in there right now, and I will get this and explain all of its intricacies as best as I can, but essentially this sidebar locks. That's it. There is no movement. As soon as you add tension, it's locked. And I've tried different tools. I've tried, you know, getting in there with a whole bunch of different stuff. That sidebar is locked in both directions. It's not going anywhere. And I will explain why. I ended up using the actual sidebars from the Yale Superior. In the video you'll see I had super glued a couple of sidebars down onto a machined piece of aluminum to make everything nice and flat, and then I slowly cut the tops down until I got the desired thickness. In this case I think it was like 25 thousandths or so thick on each half of the sidebar. So there is a full sidebar in there technically, but it is completely split down the center. And I'm going to shoot. So there is the split sidebar. What I mean by that is completely split in half. Put this in the pinning shoe for now in case something flies out. So this is the sidebar, and it is split down the middle. So there's two sidebars in there, and I got this idea from the disc block system out of the ProTech. And what it's theoretically supposed to do is, if you're picking, it should kink, or one end should drop in first and should also kink a little bit slightly inside the sidebar slot there, because there is a little bit of play, so it should kink. Either one of these should lock the sidebar, and from the little bit of picking and testing I've done, it works. Other than that, standard sidebar springs. Just two springs. I didn't add any extras, so the two sidebars fall onto the springs, so that should be a little bit more interesting. The sidebars themselves, I was going to cut them in half, but that's a lot of work and I'm quite lazy. And let's see here if we can, you might be able to see, but that's actually a full false gate right from the start. So what I'm hoping is, as soon as it's tensioned, and it seems to work, is the sidebar will fall in to this fully false gate and lock, as well as probably kink into one of these guys. And it seems to work. I don't even have key pins or drivers in there yet, and it would be a very, very tough lock already just to get into this. It is a bit of a pain without the sidebar in, because I cut this this slider a little bit too short. So the sidebar actually keeps this pushed inwards, so it falls in. The bottoms I've actually cut down, so I've shortened them physically. This is a standard length slider, and I've actually cut the bottom up a little bit. What this does is it allows the tab to drop down ever so slightly inside the keyway, making it much harder to grab onto the these little nibs here, which increases the difficulty ever so slightly, but it requires you to have a much more precise pick placement. You can't just go in there and shove all the sliders up like you normally would in this lock. There is only one slider with false gates, the rest are standard. They are also now sprung, so if you notice when I pull this key out, they drop, and that's because there are Schlag Primus finger pin springs up on top of these guys to continuously press those sliders down. So it adds a little bit more difficulty. For example, if you have to take off a little bit of tension, instead of those sliders sitting where they usually would in this lock, it would push those sliders back down to their neutral position. So it should make things, again, more difficult. And hopefully that really takes care of the sidebar itself. I've sat here picking at it for probably 10-15 minutes or so, just with the sidebar installed fully and seeing if I could get into it, and I really can't. I have a few custom picks I've got on the side here that don't really seem to grab onto those nubs very well. So that is it for part 1. Part 2 will be drivers and key pins. I'm thinking I'm going to try and add an interactive element from, where is it? One of these multi-lock keys. I'm going to see if I can punch out one of these interactive elements and see if I can, drill something into this and into the key as well, and see what I can do about it. Yeah, alright, cool. Thanks for watching.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.